first guest is on the line. We haven't even mentioned our first guest. This is Giovanni Lim. We've had Mr. Lim on before. He is the promoter and owner of the Victorium down there in West Virginia. And I believe Mr. Lim is on to his third show.
He's working hard.
The Victorium 2 is either underway or has already gone past. I know this sounds horrible. I'm literally going off the cuff right now. I'm going off the cuff right now.
It's unfortunate.
We're going to get Mr. Lim on the line, and we're going to talk to him about the Victorium, his fighters.
We have more to talk about in regards to you being here, the last show. There's a lot there to discuss.
We will talk, exactly. We'll talk more about burritos and drinking and Fresno fun. Mr. Lim, is that you, sir?
Yes. Hey, what's happening?
Giovanni.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Okay. We got to get you off the cuff because it's not West Virginia, and it's this second show.
Well,
those ass under the bus.
You had a second
I'm
show,
just messing with you. I'm messing with you. No, we're pretty excited. It's the number. It's the second one, and pretty excited about it.
Well, talk about last show. How'd that go? Great success? How'd everything rock and roll?
Oh, well, I mean, I think it went well in regards to the show itself, the visuals, the competition. I mean, since then, I've been getting calls from around the country. I've even had a few fighters from around Europe contact me to be on the second show. I've got every major school you can contact, fight team calling me, begging to be on it. So I was like, wow, I didn't realize, a small Virginia show that could get that much exposure, but so I was very happy with that experience.
Now, were there any mishaps? Now, for the Victorium, part one, we imagine that with such a large show, and you don't do anything small in your shows. You always go big. You music, event. It's an event, not just a fight. It's an event.
Right.
Was there any mishaps that you can recall?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a horrible control freak, so normally I run the show from top to bottom. Even when I'm hiring other people, I still maintain control. So I let some of the control get out of my grasp when it came to the music department of it, and it was fine in terms of the production. It's just that the money that I lost control of in terms of not bringing in the ticket sales that I should have been more adamant about. So I was disappointed in that.
But as far as fights go, you were well pleased with the athletes that were on board.
I was, Donnie Uden did a phenomenal job. Tim Jones did a great job. Kenny Goudreau, Anthony Horn, all the winners. I mean, really, there was no fight on the card really that made me go, there was a chump fight or it was over, a mismatch or anything. So competition-wise, I felt it was pretty good. We only had 7 fights. We had a couple pullouts. Right now I've got 13 contracted fights, and we're looking at possibly 15, which will probably whittle itself down to 12, which I think is a really good number. So as of right now, the competition on this card is way, way higher than the last one, though.
Talk a little bit about that, because we love having promoters on. We just had Bjorn Rebney on a week or two ago. But what a lot of promoters do now is they overbook cards knowing, hey, I'm going to lose 3 or 4 fighters. It's just part of the sport.
It really is. Especially when a lot of the guys have other jobs or responsibilities other than just fighting. Now I realize a lot of UFC fighters, Bellator guys, kind of got the same situation, but I think they do truly realize there's a lot more at stake in terms of purse money. I mean, I'm not paying anywhere near that kind of money, only because some of these fighters, one, they haven't earned that position yet, and two, budgeting-wise, I'm still, though I have a really great promotion, I'm still nowhere near the financial liquidity some of these other events have as of yet. So, yeah, I mean, I've had contract pullouts. Just as a matter of fact, I had 2 pullouts yesterday. And it really bothers me, not so much that it happens, that some of these guys are not taking their being professional serious yet, that they're looking at it as, well, it's okay if I pull out. I'll always just come back when I need to. And But I've been pretty adamant. I've been in contact with the State Athletic Commission, and I said, look, what recourse do I have against fighters who screw me over? They're like, you really don't unless you take them to court. But to take these guys to court, I got to pay the money. And then if I win, then what do I really get? You know what I'm saying? And then I look like the bad guy.
Against the gym.
Exactly.
You're right, and that's what I'm doing. I've talked to the at least in Virginia, the State Athletic Commission basically told me they'll make it very difficult for them to fight again in the state because some fighters have a habit of doing it and over and over again. And I'm an extremely forgiving guy. I've given some guys a few extra chances, but I'm learning more and more that you can only burn a bridge so many times before you just go, I can't do this anymore.
It's a difficult situation, and we talk about it with every promoter that we have on. Fighters can be divas, and you're dealing with part-time fighters, which is a real difficult situation, whether they're young and still in school, whether they have to work a full-time job, can't afford to stay active in the gym, can't afford the gym fees, can't afford the lifestyle to be a fighter, paid trainers, all that. It's a difficult situation.
It is because they start to believe they're on press, and they start to think because they're around their teammates or their family or their friends or they win a couple fights, they start thinking, well, I'm on the way up. I really don't need the work to do the extra work, promoting the show, selling tickets, promoting myself, doing my pictures, doing my videos. I'll just the promoter will do all that for me. And I don't do that. I mean, I'm an extremely hands-on guy. I do a lot of work. I do the promotions for these guys as long as they provide me the materials I ask for them. But I've even talked to a few fighters in the last few days. Look, man, I'm not chasing you down anymore. And win, lose, or draw, to me, I'd rather have a fighter who lost on a show but who was professional and did the things I asked than a fighter who won on my show but I have to constantly chase down. I just have too many things to deal with that have to deal with diva fighters, like you said.
You're juggling. You know what I'm saying? You're juggling fight promotion. You're juggling dealing with fighters. You're juggling dealing with press, guys like us. You're juggling trying to make a profit. I mean, you're wearing several hats.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I fought for 13 years, and I tell you, fighting was 10 times easier than putting on a show.
Now, you say that for you have the standpoint of being in the position of being asked to be on the card, fighting on the card, following through with what you said you were going to do, and then therefore it gives you more right than a lot of any promoter who has a fighter ditch on him. It's kind of a bad situation, but for you get that. You've been there and done that. Now you understand what the needs are of the guys that you're asking. So it's not like or it's not like you're asking them too much. Besides the fact that you run the promotion, you are, like you said, very hands-on. But you, again, I have to go back because I find the Victorium fascinating because of the fact that it's more of an event. It gives fans more than just fights. The whole meal deal is all packaged, and to have to go back and, like you say, to fighter is just it's not called for.
It's not, and it is a minimal amount. I mean, honestly, most of the guys I've been dealing with on here have been very great, and of course, that's what you're looking for as a promoter. It's just that right now I've got 26 fighters on, and 23 of them are making my life easy, but the other 3 are making it so difficult that it's sometimes you go, what the hell am I even doing this for? And of course, I think that's with any business. The negatives and the hardships sometimes outweigh the benefits of it until afterwards anyway. I mean, I'm hoping that this next show really blows the roof off. I've got some great potentials right now with some major sports bars and a licensing deal. And the reason these guys are coming to me is because they're like, well, we know what a great show you're running. And I've been very upfront with some of these fighters saying, look, you got to change your attitude with me or you will not go along for the ride. I'm a pretty loyal guy. I bring in a lot of the same fighters. I use the same matchmaker. I use the same DJs, lighting. I try to keep the same people on for the long haul. But just like anything, you can only deal with flakiness or unprofessionalism for so long.
What are the things you plan to change, you plan to tweak in regards to the things that might have bothered you this last show, moving into the next show?
Well, that's a good thing. I learned about fighters again. I changed my contracts around. I had talked to a couple other promoters and my matchmaker, and we now make it a mandatory that the fighters must sell a minimum of their purse and half of their win bonus in ticket sales. I had 5 fighters on my last show, 5 fighters who didn't sell one ticket, and I'm paying out thousands of dollars in purse money. And again, they came in with the attitude of, well, I don't have to do this. I'm just here to fight. I go, well, you're not a name, you're not a draw. No one's coming to my show to see you as of yet. Now, that might be great in a year, 2 years, or whatever, but you got to build your brand name because you're your own person. You're your own, little business, and you got to do what it takes to build up your brand name. It's not necessarily my job. So I learned that the hard way, that I'm paying out thousands of dollars to fighters who weren't doing anything for me personally, and so I changed that, and it's, even some of the fighters. I had 2 fighters that I can't sell. I mean, I had one fighter, I was like, look, you only need to sell 11 lousy tickets. And he's like, I can't sell 11 tickets. And I said, well, then I guess you should really get into another line of work.
Wow. That's awesome.
Man.
Just jump in.
Wow.
We love the fire right now, by the way.
We do.
You're on fire.
We can feel it coming through right now.
Here's the thing, Jesse. Let me explain to you what's happening. He's not like other promoters we've had on who, might have millions of dollars worth of endorsements, worth of, guys backing him. He's literally backing himself. Let me ask you this. Did you have to go into your own pocket to pay some of these fighters the last show? Because it sounds like you had some issues with ticket sales. And ticket sales are a huge part of what you make back, part of staying in the black, staying out of the red.
Yeah, that show was my 89th show, and it was the first time because it was my first all-pro show. So it was the first time that I actually lost a little bit. In terms of what my expenditures were. I mean, I still had plenty of the funding left over, but in terms of what I put out versus what I got in, it was the first time I've ever actually lost money, and I was freaked out because I had talked to a lot of promoters. They're like, man, I've done 30, 40 shows, and I've never made money. So they were very impressed that I had always made money up until this point. But like I said, had I had those contractual things in place on the first event, I wouldn't have lost a nickel. I would have made pretty damn good money. But, I had to learn the hard way, and so that's where we are.
It's a learning experience at the end of the day, right? I mean.
Oh, yeah. If you don't learn from every show, man, even if it's a little one thing, if you don't learn something from your show, then it becomes kind of a, autopilot everything. Then it's not fun anymore. Not that always what I'm doing is fun, but at the end, when the show actually happens, it's the funnest thing in the world.
Have you planned on keeping the live music? Because at the end of the day, a DJ is a lot cheaper, and a DJ can play a shitload of CDs. But as opposed to that, a live band is awesome.
It is. I'm in talks with 1 or 2 potential bands right now. I did 5 bands last time. It was almost overkill. They only got like 15 to 25-minute sets. And, again, that was partially because I let somebody else run that aspect. I thought they did a good job, but I just didn't have my hand in it, so I would have changed some things. So right now, if I'm going to do anything, it's only going to be 1 band, maybe 2 max. I'm pretty sure it'll only be 1. One of my fighters is actually having a meeting tomorrow with this female artist that's supposed to have a pretty good following in the Richmond area, and so I'm looking into that. But right now, with so many pro fights on this card, I'm not overly concerned. I don't like the idea of not having the band, but with so many fights on it, I'm not going to kill myself to not have a band.
And as you move on, to more shows, the kinks and the wrinkles all get straightened out eventually. And being a hands-on guy like you are actually makes it easier, more frustrating in a way, because you have to oversee, even if you don't have to. You personally want to oversee everything, but that way things get done the way that you want it to get done, which in the long run is the right way.
Absolutely. It is a one-man show, except for my matchmaker, Pete Hatcher, who is a miracle worker. Honestly, if I didn't have him, I don't think I would have done the second show. He's really helped me with his experience. He's done so many other events, CFFC, and other big events from New Jersey down to the East Coast. He's the man out here, so I've been very lucky to have him on board. And he and I've talked, and he's here for the long haul as well. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, let's talk. Let's get aboard the positive train here. We're moving on. Victorium to August 10th. You've got some really good fights. Some guys that I'm looking forward to, like Justin Rogers, for example.
Yeah, Justin's a good guy.
Justin's a good guy. He's a great fighter. He's got a lot of potential. You've got tons. That's the best thing about these shows too, by the way, is where there is no name attached. As far as, like, say, an Anderson Silva or something, when you have no name attached, you, I think, feel almost more free to move out and fight your own personal fight instead of going out there and trying to win a decision or something like that, which is exactly what the Victorium is all about, going out there and getting these finishes. This card you put together so far, albeit maybe some changes before the 10th, but with everything in place right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you feeling about this next show?
Well, if it wasn't for the 2 pullouts yesterday, I was about a 9.5. Now I'm about an 8 3/4. So we're working our way back up. But I did get one really good name, Brett Glass. He just fought last weekend at Warriors Challenge. Guy is, I think, 2 or 3-0. Fireball. He's fighting a guy named Jeff Peterson, coming in from California. That's going to be, to me, has potential to fight of the night. We got the first 15-pound male pro fight in the United States, so I'm pretty happy about that. We're making, MMA history here with Brian Roby and Samir Fareed. We got some really good locals from MMA Institute, The Cave, Matt Douglas, Tony Horn. We got some guys from The Lab and The Hive, Jeremy Boardwine, Mike Hodges, Hubert Garcia. So I've been pretty happy. I mean, honestly, a lot of these guys fight for other pro organizations, and right now I'm not in the position, at least, to control these guys with 2 or 3 or 4 fight contracts. But they've been pretty loyal. So I think I got a really good card.
It's a cool situation where you can kind of subtract from other organizations, and at the end of the day, being part of a smaller organization, you realize you got to share these guys. You can't make a guy so exclusive unless you give him a shitload of cash.
Right, absolutely. I think there should be some kind of promoters consortium. I've been talking to a few other guys about it, but they all say the same thing. Like, oh yeah, it's a great idea, but then they realize, or at least they think they realize, that it's taken away from their market share. I disagree. I think that when each fighter could potentially build each promotion's brand name, I think there's enough fighters out there right now that promoters should really start sitting there and saying, look, I got a show coming up on this date. You got a show coming up that date. Let's try not to...
Let's work together.
Yeah, let's work together. But I've always said, one of the reasons I got into this business, because I thought everybody was very upfront and forward, but there's still a lot of nitpicking and things that go on behind the scenes that aren't always the most pleasant or positive for the sport.
You're in a weird situation. We're in a sport like boxing where there's no real union, where things are set in stone. There's commissions, but no union, where everyone's assigned to a certain team. It's a bit of the wild, wild west, where guys can pull out of fights, guys can pull out of contracts. Promoters are promoters. I mean, at the end of the day, you see some of the most successful promoters, whether it's MMA and boxing, and these guys are considered fucking scumbags.
Right. Well, I saw a good article on it just the other day about, people complaining that Dana White doesn't pay his fighters enough. And I posted out, I said, look, Dana White is putting up the purse. He's putting up the insurance. He's paying the bonds. He's paying the venue. He's paying the state. He's paying the refs. He's paying everybody. The fighter is not. There's more fighters than there are promoters. If there was ever the day it was the exact opposite, you might see some changes. But until that happens, fighters, as good as they are, they're just like, it's like a dime a dozen. It's like McDonald's. Everybody there's a million people that could work at McDonald's, so why should they pay you more until you've done something. It's almost like an entry-level position. You know, you get paid what I tell you. If you don't like it, then get out of this business or find another promoter who will pay you more, because you're not the one putting everything on the line. I really am. Now, people say, well, I'm a fighter. I'm risking my life. Again, nobody put that to your head, just like no one put a gun to my head to be a promoter. But at the end of the day, I have the upper hand. Now, some people may say that's a jerk attitude to have. I said, well, when you get into this business and you see the things I have to deal with, you will totally understand, and you would have more sympathy for me.
There is no pussyfooting around in the MMA business, especially if you're a promoter, and that's the damn truth right there. Because it's your ass on the line. If the fighters don't want to show up to the fights, they don't have to get paid, and they don't have to go and get that possible W in the win column, which could catapult their career into a different direction. They can always move on to someone else. So being a promoter is tough stuff, but the attitude is good. Folks, don't get me wrong. Giovanni, he's a good dude. He's just on fire right now.
I'll tell you what. This is one of the better interviews we've had in a minute.
This has been a very fantastic interview. Love it so far.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, I'm trying to. One thing I've learned in the last 3 months since my last show is you got to be upfront and honest and tell it like it is, because some fighters need to hear this, because they might be one of those guys you and I were talking about, divas, or thinking, oh, I don't have to, and they might sit there and go, holy crap, he's talking about me, without saying their name, and then maybe he'll put a fire under some of these guys' butts, and they'll start going, I really got to take this sport seriously.
Well, like you said, again, there's more fighters than there are promotions, which gives you the upper hand, because if a fighter doesn't want to come in, you can always jump down to B, C, D, and all the way down the line, and you know what? Maybe you land on C, and that dude comes in and gives a better performance than what the first line fighter would have came in and done.
Sure.
So. All right. Well, Giovanni, what we're going to do is we're going to let you go ahead. First, I'm going to tell everybody, Victorium, Episode 2, August 10th. It's in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And if you are a fighter, and Giovanni, are you still looking for spots?
I do have an opening for 185 and potentially a 155, so yes, I am.
Okay. By the way, I am looking for. I've had a couple people get a hold of me for the 155 spot. If you were a fighter, if you're a 185er, if you're a 155er, or you can make either of those weights, you need to get a hold of Giovanni, and you can do that. Would Facebook be the easiest way? Twitter, Giovanni, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
They can go to the Giovanni Lem at Facebook, or they can go to the Victorium MMA at Facebook. They can do the Victorium VA MMA, Victorium Virginia MMA on Twitter. They could get to me that way. I don't want to give out my phone number because I've been getting crazy amount of calls. But or they can email me at geofighter@yahoo. That would be any of those things, or I'm sure they could find me through you guys too. And
that's
not
right.
That you need to do that. You got a lot of other stuff to do. But
no, you know what? I don't mind doing some searching for you, buddy. I don't mind at all.
And Giovanni, this next show coming up, which I assume is going to be a huge hit, we might have a correspondent in that area that I want to send out to that show. Would be the great Chris W. Powers.
Oh.
By any chance, if we asked you, would you be nice enough to give us 2 tickets?
Yeah, of course I would. Why wouldn't I?
Awesome. Perfect. So
And
Chris W. Powers.
We have Chris W. Power out there in that area, and we also.
And I want to send him. I think he'd have a good time because he loves fights and he loves music.
That's right. He's a big music guy. We also have Brady Rouch from SportsBrothersReport.com.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's in the Virginia area.
Oh, he would be a fantastic guy to send out there.
He's very excited about the Victorian.
He's a picture guy too. He takes a lot of pictures.
And so Giovanni, look for Brady Rouch, SportsBrothersReport.com. He's going to be out there. We're just affiliates at the time right now, but Brady's a good guy, and he's really looking forward to the event.
Hey, man, like I said, to me, it's just like your show, my show. It's about promoting each other, helping each other out. I mean, if I'm not willing to promote you, you'd have no motivation to promote me, and then we're both kind of kicking each other in the butt. So, absolutely.
And if you got any fighters you want to send over here, send them. Force them.
I will. I'll definitely, I know that Joel was kind of, I sent some people to Joel. I'll put another message out to all the fighters to contact you guys. I know a couple of these guys were very quick to talk to Joel. I'm sure they'll do the same thing for you.
Yeah, if any of them want to do some interviews or just
We're trying to get them people who will buy tickets, for fuck's sakes.
that's
Sure.
right.
Hey man,
All right.
that's what I need. But cool.
Awesome.
Giovanni, go ahead and do shout-outs, brother. If you did a lot already,
Sure.
but go ahead and let everybody go ahead and hear one more time the Victorium 2.
Will. First of all, I want to say, even though it sounded very negative, all the things I said about the fighters, it wasn't. It was more about professionalism, not each fighter individually. So if anybody did take it personally, I hope they understand where my point of view is coming from. Having said that, we got, as of right now, 13 great fights. We've got Tony Horn versus Ruthless Joe Ray. We've got Samir Fareed and Brian Roby, the first 115-pound fight in the United States for males. We got Jeremy Boardwine versus Brian Nielsen. Sam Ure versus Craig Yerke. Matt Douglas from the Cave versus John Attia. Joe Hips versus Chris Rodriguez. JoJo Stringfield versus Nathan Miller. Justin Rogers, you guys' guy, versus Mike Hodges.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Wampler, that's the 185. We had a pull-out for him, so we're looking for a matchup for Stephen Wampler. John Hughes versus probably Dusty Shaw. And then the Marcus Daniels versus Huber Garcia. Brad Mountain versus Stephen Govon. And Angel Ortiz versus Dustin Carroll. The fight is August 10th at the Fredericksburg Fairgrounds. It's an outdoor event. It's going to be really cool. A lot of great vendors, a lot of stuff going on, a fun after party, etc. Some beautiful ring card girls. My girlfriend's daughter is going to be one of them. And, we're excited about it. So, like I said, go to The Victorium MMA on Facebook. There's Twitter at Victorium VAMMA, or contact me through email, geofighter@yahoo.com. If you're looking to get tickets, you can go to localmmatickets.com and just look for the event under the Victorium.
Bam, there it is, Victorium 2, August 10th. It's going to be an exciting card. And we got some guys that maybe be out there. They'll
report back.
They'll be doing some reporting. Try to do some live stuff, maybe. Who knows?
They'll be taking pictures with you on Instagram.
That's right. Giovanni, you've been a blast, my man. Thank you so much for coming on and doing the interview.
No, man.
Giovanni,
you guys are great. I appreciate it.
And we look forward to talking to you again after the show.
Absolutely. I know you guys are way out on the West Coast. I'm actually, funny enough, looking at a couple of deals to bring the show to California, Arizona, and Texas. If that's the case, hopefully you can come down.
Heck yeah.
Giovanni, California, Central California, huge MMA base. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
You could easily sell 1,500 tickets.
Jay and I will come out.
Yeah.
We'll announce fights for you for free. We won't even want to get paid.
We won't even charge you. We need free alcohol bracelets.
we just need some beer next to us. We'll announce fights for free.
I'll bring a cooler full of your favorite beer.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Giovanni, you are the fucking man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys, and you have a great night. I really appreciate the interview.
No problem. Thanks, Gio.
Okay, bye.
Good luck. That was fucking
Giovanni
awesome.
Lim. Man,
Wow. I mean, seriously, we can go 5 different ways with that. He was one of the better interviews we've had in a minute. Because of his honesty. He was so fucking honest.
You know what's awesome? Guys like Giovanni Lim who run, the smaller promotions around the country, statewide promotions. There's a lot of these guys out there. They don't get enough credit because, like Gio said earlier, Dana White's got the money. He's got Zuffa cash out there. They're throwing it around like water, so they can do promotions in Japan. They can do promotions in Australia. They can do promotions every month in, at the MGM. Guys like Giovanni, he's got to deal with what he can with what he's got at hand. So, but at the same time, he does a great job, as I'm sure many, many other small-time small-time promotions do, countrywide. So. Shout out to all you guys who try to get into this business in the first place.
I think that's like the 7th or 8th promoter we've had on the show. But Giovanni was so honest. And this is why I like to ask those questions about fighters. Maybe we asked it right at the right time, because clearly one fighter had struck a nerve with him. And Lord knows who that fighter is. But one fighter, or maybe 2 or 3 fighters, struck a nerve with him. And he was like, fuck, I'm so irritated. I'm so tired of dealing with fighters' bullshit. And I'm going to go on this show and try and be positive. And we just picked up that phone, and it worked.
He did the best he could. So everybody, one more time. The Victorium episode 2 will be August 10th. Starts around 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
And Chris W. Power or
Brady Rauch will be there.
We're sending one of you two.
One of you guys. Well, I'm pretty sure Brady's going to be there.
And you got a +1, and we're giving him a +1. So he's going with they're going with a friend.
And you know Chris W. Power, he's got women all over, so he's going to need.
He might take a woman, or he might take a designated driver.
I think he'll take a guy. He'll take like a cousin.
A designated driver.
Exactly. Because that way he can pick up chicks at the event.
Ride him on his face.
That's what he does.
Designated driver.
Fredericksburg, Virginia. Get in contact with Giovanni Lim through Twitter, Facebook, the whole meal deal. So, all right.
All right, Jess. Well, we've hit that point where we have not prepped.